Today's lesson is talking about cooking. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about cooking. This will be a discussion between Anne and Peter, and they're going to be talking about cooking. Peter is going to take a cooking class, and of course, a lot of people would like to learn how to cook. I don't really do much of my own cooking. It's just too cheap and convenient to eat out all the time here in Taiwan. Mike, do you do your own cooking at all?
I do. I've been teaching myself to cook over the last 4 or 5 years.
Excellent. Okay, so you probably control your diet there by eating healthy food and probably saving some money in the process. That might be the motivation for a lot of people to learn about cooking, and you can also cook the kind of food that you like to eat. This might be an important skill for people if they live overseas and they're just not used to the food in that country, so they might want to learn how to cook their own country's food in order to enjoy their life more. So let's listen to Peter and Anne's conversation. Let's find out about Peter signing up for a cooking class.
Talking about cooking. Signing up for a cooking class. Peter is seated in front of his computer when Anne walks into the room.
Hi, Peter. What are you up to?
I'm signing up for a cooking class.
That's cool. What inspired you to do that?
Well, I've always been interested in learning to cook better. Plus, eating out so often has kind of been wrecking my budget.
So your motivations are both financial and aspirational?
Pretty much. Like, it'd be awesome to become a great chef and save some money, right?
Definitely. So what kind of cuisine are you going to learn to cook?
Italian, of course.
Yeah, you do love Italian food, don't you?
You know it. And imagine if I could cook it like they do at a great Italian restaurant.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到单字 inspire， 这个字是动词，指的是激励、驱使、启发或是赋予灵感。例如 The story of the man who started his own charity inspired Owen to do more to help others. 那位男子自办慈善事业的故事，启发了 Owen 多多帮助他人。另外，这个字去掉字尾 e 加上 ation， 就会变成名词 inspiration， 意思是灵感或是启发。举例来说 The inspiration to keep a diary came to me during my trip across Africa. 我想写日记的念头来自于我遍游非洲时。也可以说As a fashion designer, Sheila tends to draw inspiration from traditional costumes. 作为一名时尚设计师 Sheila 经常从传统服饰中汲取灵感。接着我们看到动词 wreck， 它的意思是损坏或是毁掉。举例来说 The old building was wrecked after the flood, so the council decided to tear it down. 这栋老建筑在水灾时遭遇毁损，所以议会决定将其拆除。又或者说 Alan wrecked the family car when he drove it into a ditch. Alan 把家里的车开进水沟时把它弄坏了。再来我们看到单字 motivation， 这个字是名词，指的是动机或是诱因。例如 Because Dan was lacking in motivation, he preferred sitting on his sofa instead of going out and looking for jobs. 由于 Dan 缺乏积极的动力，他宁可坐在沙发上，也不愿出门找工作。或是Melvin said he wanted to marry Keiko for love, but his real motivation was her family's money. Melvin 说是出自于爱才想娶 Keiko, 但其家族财富才是背后真正的原因。另外补充这个字的动词 motivate, M-O-T-I-V-A-T-E, motivate, 意思是激发或是给点点点动机。举例来说 His childhood experiences motivated him to become a teacher. 他的童年经历激励他成为一名老师。或者我们可以说 David tried to motivate the members of his staff through humor and fun. David 试图透过幽默和风趣来激励他的工作人员。最后我们看到单字 financial， 这个字是形容词，意思是财务的、金融的或是财政的。例如 Ferdinand is having financial problems right now, so you shouldn't ask him for money. Ferdinand 现在有财务问题，所以你不应该跟他要钱。另外补充这个字的动词 finance, F-I-N-A-N-C-E, finance, 意思是筹措资金、资助或是提供资金。像是 Your business plan looks good, but how do you plan to finance your new clothing shop? 你的事业计划看起来不错，但你打算怎么为新的服饰店筹措资金？又或者是 Bonnie finances her travels by writing magazine articles about her destinations. Bonnie 借由撰写有关她目的地的杂志文章来资助自己的旅行。
Okay, so again, we're talking about cooking, and part one is signing up for a cooking class, which is a good idea. If you want to learn how to cook, you might want to take a cooking class. They're being offered all over the place. You might learn how to cook online, but I think it's probably best to actually take a cooking class because you can get some hands-on experience from a qualified instructor, and you can find out right away if you've done it right or wrong. So here Peter is seated in front of his computer when Anne walks into the room, and their conversation starts.
So let's see what he's doing in front of the computer, and Anne is curious too. She says, "Hi, Peter. What are you up to? What are you doing? What's going on?" It's that kind of thing. And Peter tells her very directly, "I'm signing up for a cooking class." Well, that explains why he's sitting in front of the computer. And Anne says, "That's cool." She's like, "Oh, what an interesting idea." And maybe, a little surprised that Peter's doing this, which leads to her next question. What inspired you to do that? All right, so what inspired you to do that? Why are you doing that? Where did you get the idea to do that? This kind of question. So, someone tells us something, we're like, "Oh, that's interesting." And then we kind of have the immediate question afterwards, like, why? Why are you, it seems a little unusual for you, Peter, the guy who's always, eating fast food or whatever, to want to learn how to cook. So what inspired you? What gave you the inspiration? Where did you get the idea and possibly the motivation to get yourself some cooking classes? Why did you do that? Why are you inspired?
Exactly. We can be inspired by all sorts of things. Maybe you went to an art exhibition and you just really enjoyed it, so you might be inspired to take some painting classes yourself and to become an artist one day. But in this particular case, what caused you to want to sign up for a cooking class? Why are you doing that? How were you inspired? And Peter says, "Well, I've always been interested in learning to cook better." Okay, I think a lot of us would like to learn to cook better. Maybe some of us not so much. We'd like to be fed by someone else and not worry about the cooking. After all, if you want to cook, you've got to go to the market to buy the ingredients. Then you've got to prepare them all. You've got to cut them all up. Then you've got to figure out how to cook them, what goes in the frying pan first, what goes in next, etc., etc. It can be kind of a hassle, so not everybody wants to learn how to cook, but some people are interested in learning to cook, and he wants to learn to cook better. So maybe he knows how to cook an egg or cook instant noodles or whatever, but he wants to do more advanced dishes. And he also says, plus, eating out so often has kind of been wrecking my budget. Wreck here just means to destroy or to cause great damage to something. And yes, indeed, in some places, it can be quite expensive to eat out all the time. It can be cheaper to cook your own food, especially if you have a low budget. If you don't have a lot of money, then maybe you should learn how to cook yourself.
There you go, because you don't want the food that you're ordering or buying out to be wrecking your budget. To wreck is to ruin something, to destroy something. If you wreck your budget, you're basically saying, hey, I have $10,000 to spend on stuff this month, but I've already spent $15,000 on a new video game machine or something. How am I going to pay for my food and my cell phone and all the other stuff? I've wrecked my budget by buying that expensive machine. And after listening to Peter, Anne says, so your motivations are both financial and aspirational? She asks this as a question, more to kind of check what she's already understood from what Peter has said. His motivations to do this are both financial and aspirational. This is what Anne is thinking. Motivation is the reason why you do something. If you ever watch one of those murder mystery TV shows, the police are always looking for the killer's motive. Why did they kill this person? Was it love? Was it money? Was it an act of passion? Something like that. So the reason why why you do something are your motivations. Why do you get up in the morning? Well, because my boss will get mad and I'll lose my job and I need money. Those are my motivations. Those are the reasons why I get up in the morning to go to work, for example. That would be a financial motivation. I get up and go to work because I need money to pay for my life. Anything to do with money, finances, financial. All right, so this is the part about wrecking his budget, right? He's going to save money by cooking, and that is good for his financial situation. And aspirational, well, this is more about hopes. When you aspire to something or aspire to be something, it's kind of like hoping and wishing, and you really want to do this. You can act on the things that you aspire to, but also we can talk about something being aspirational as being like a wish list or one of those image boards that people make, right? Where you put up pictures of the things you want to do and achieve in your life. Those are your aspirations. Those are the things you want to work towards. And for Peter, he wants to work towards being a better cook, cooking better, more interesting food.
And Peter says, well, pretty much. That's pretty much the case, more or less. That's why I want to learn how to cook, to save money and to have fun. And he says, well, it's like, it'd be awesome to become a great chef and save some money, right? A chef is a cook in a restaurant who basically cooks really special food. You can be just a short order chef or just a cook in a restaurant. I used to work in a kind of an Italian fast food restaurant when I was in university, but I wouldn't call myself a chef. I was just a cook, cooking basic food like spaghetti and hamburgers and steak and stuff like that. But if you really want to be fancy, you want to become a chef. And he says, it'd be awesome to become a great chef. If something's awesome, it's really, really cool. It inspires awe in other people. They go, wow, you're a chef? That is really cool.
So this is, he's kind of checking his reasons or, just wants to get Anne to sort of agree and see his point of view. Wouldn't that be great? Anne agrees. Definitely, she says, 100% for sure. So, she asks, moving on to a different topic, so what kind of cuisine are you going to learn to cook? So what kind of cuisine are you going to learn to cook? Cuisine here, we're using this to talk about food, but international styles of food. This is actually the French word for kitchen, but we also use it to talk about international. I like Japanese cuisine. Oh, have you tried Portuguese cuisine? It's really, really good. That kind of thing.
Exactly. So, yeah, you can pick the kind of food you want to cook. So which kind of cuisine is he going to learn to cook? He says Italian, of course. So maybe Anne should know that Peter likes Italian food. He likes pizza and spaghetti and different kinds of pasta and things like that. So, of course, it's a no-brainer that he wants to learn how to cook Italian food. And she laughs. Yeah, you do love Italian food, don't you? So, yes, she's seen him eat Italian food before. It's no wonder, it's not surprising that he wants to learn how to cook Italian food.
And, he says, imagine if I could cook it like they do at a great Italian restaurant. Wow, yeah, so more than just making your simple spaghetti and sauce from a jar from the supermarket. No, he's going to be making everything from scratch, maybe even making his own pasta from scratch, which would really be impressive. So good luck to Peter on that one. Well, that's all the time we have for now. I think Roger and I are going to go head for a pizza, but we have part 2 of showing off some new cooking skills coming up right now. Showing off new cooking skills. Anne returns home to find Peter in the kitchen.
Hey, it smells great in here. What are you making?
Oh, you're in for a treat, Rumi. Tonight I'm going to show you what I've been learning in my cooking class.
Really? What a delightful surprise. So, what's on the menu?
I've just finished making some bruschetta, which is toasted slices of bread flavored with garlic and olive oil and topped with tomatoes and herbs. Here, try a piece.
That's amazing. It's so flavorful.
Yeah? You really think it's good?
It's delicious.
Wait till you try the main course. Voila! It's my world-famous lasagna.
World famous, huh?
Well, not yet, but give it time. Try it and see.
Wow, it's even better than the bruschetta.
I'm glad you like it. I was thinking of taking another class, but wasn't sure if I should.
Are you kidding? If you're going to cook more stuff like this, I insist on it.
Okay, so in part 2, of course, when you learn a new skill, you want to show off, or if you've bought something really expensive, like a new Rolex watch or a Benz car or something, you want to show it off. You want to let other people see it so they can be impressed with it. And yes, indeed, if you've just learned a new skill, you want to demonstrate that skill to other people to make them happy or to be impressed by you. And in this particular case, he's showing off his new cooking skills. And Anne returns home to find Peter in the kitchen. And Anne says, "Hey, it smells great in here. What are you making?" Yes, indeed, there's no aroma like there is in an Italian restaurant, especially with all that garlic in the air. It just smells really, really great. So she's curious. Ooh, that sounds really appetizing. What are you making? What are you cooking?
Oh, Peter says, you're in for a treat, Roomie. If you're in for a treat, something good is heading your way. Something good is going to happen. Unexpectedly, surprisingly, but something good is going to happen. You're in for a treat. I ordered pizza for the whole office. Oh, wow. You're in for a treat. We're going to go to your favorite amusement park this weekend. Oh, that's great. So, it's kind of a way to deliver happy and exciting news that the person doesn't expect, and they're definitely going to be happy about hearing. So you're in for a treat, and there he calls Anne roomie. So this tells us about their relationship. They're roommates. They're not a married couple. They're not dating. They're not living together in that way. They just live together to share costs and things like that. He says, tonight I'm going to show you what I've been learning in my cooking class. Well, good for you, Peter. He's getting very brave and confident. He's feeling that he's ready and able to prepare some food for a person who is not paying him, and he doesn't want to make her sick by making the food really bad. So it's a bit brave, but he's taking a chance, and he's going to give her his best dishes, I'm sure.
And she says, really? What a delightful surprise. If something's delightful, it just makes you feel really, really happy. It makes you feel really, really surprised. And you could say, what a delight. You could say that. A delight, of course, again, is a thing that makes you feel really, really happy. It gives you lots of pleasure. So yes, it is a pleasant surprise, or it's a delightful surprise. And of course, delightful could also refer to the food being very tasty. And of course, she wants to know what kind of dish he is preparing. So what's on the menu? Of course, he doesn't have a menu, but basically she's asking him what exactly he's preparing for her.
He says, I've just finished making some bruschetta, which is toasted slices of bread flavored with garlic and olive oil and topped with tomatoes and herbs, and a personal favorite of mine. Yes, indeed. Bruschetta, I think that's the Italian. People often do say bruschetta, but I think the Italian has the CH a little more of a hard K sound, bruschetta. And it's toasted slices of bread, kind of like French bread, like a baguette, basically. Flavored with garlic and olive oil and topped with tomatoes and herbs and some probably garlic and basil. Those are probably the herbs that they'll use in the tomato. And here he says, try a piece. So this is a dish that we would normally eat as an appetizer at the beginning of a meal at an Italian restaurant. And it is a very easy food to pick up and eat with your hands. Also a good food for appetizers for a cocktail party or something like that. Well, Anne, she is going to jump right in. So she takes a bite, and as she does, she is happy. She says, that's amazing. It's so flavorful. Something is flavorful. It is full of flavor. It is yummy. It is whatever you want it to be, but maybe even a little bit more. It's exactly what the person eating is wanting to enjoy. There it is. It's delicious. It's flavorful.
And Peter is very grateful that she likes it. Yeah? Really? You think it's that good? And she says, oh, it's delicious. It's marvelous. It's superb. And Peter says, well, wait till you try the main course. And he removes the cover from a baking pan and shows it to her and says, voila, it's my world-famous lasagna. I believe voila is a French word which means take a look. Here it is.
Here, yeah, exactly. Basically, here it is. Take a look. There.
Exactly. That's we use that word when you want to show something really interesting to someone else, especially if they've taken some time to prepare it or they've spent some money on it. And he shows her this big surprise here. It's his famous lasagna, world-famous lasagna here. Lasagna, of course, is another kind of pasta. There are many different kinds of pasta in Italy.
She's like, wait, world-famous? You're Peter. You learned how to cook 2 months ago. How are you a world-famous chef? So she says this probably with a bit of a sarcastic smile on her face. Really? World famous? Come on, Peter. No one knows who you are. You're not a chef. You're just Peter cooking in your own kitchen. And Peter kind of goes with the spirit of her attitude, her mood, when he called it world famous. He says, well, not yet, but give it time. He's like, okay, I'm not world famous yet, but give it time. Give me some time in the future. He says, I'll be a world famous chef. But anyways, let's get back to the lasagna. He says, try it and see. Try it yourself and see. You will try it and then you will experience how it's so good and how that will turn me into a world famous Italian chef. And so Anne does.
Yep, she does. And she goes, wow. It's even better than the bruschetta. So, of course, she was impressed with his bruschetta. She's even more impressed with his lasagna. He's well on his way to becoming a famous chef. It's only a matter of time before he opens his own restaurant. And Peter says, well, I'm glad you like it. I was thinking of taking another class, but wasn't sure if I should. So he's had some initial success here. He has tried out his cooking on Anne. She likes it so far, but of course you need to be humble and realize that cooking is not that easy. It's not something you can learn in just a day. So he's thinking of taking another class, but he's not sure if he should. Maybe he doesn't have the time, or maybe he doesn't think he can be that good in the future despite his early success.
Yeah, will it really help me improve if I take another class? Well, Anne is thinking, oh, well, if you've improved this much with one class, you'll be amazing after 2 classes. And so she says, are you kidding? Are you joking? You can't be serious if you're thinking of not taking more classes. Are you kidding? She says, if you're going to cook more stuff like this, I insist on it. Basically, if your food is this delicious after 1 meal, well, imagine what you're going to make me after 2 bunch of classes or 2 lessons. You have to take more classes, she's saying, because she's thinking, I want more delicious food. Lasagna and bruschetta are great, but let's bring on the really fancy Italian stuff that no doubt Peter will be making very, very soon.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's turn things over now to Annie, our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第一部分的对话标题是 Signing up for a cooking class， 这边它用到 sign up。 我们来看看片语动词 sign up 有及物用法跟不及物用法，那这边就整理一下。首先 sign up 当不及物用的时候，它有登记报名的意思。那要表达登记报名参加某个组织啊、课程活动等等，我们常常用 sign up for something 去表达。就像课文用法 sign up for a cooking class 就是表达报名烹饪课。那另外 sign up 也可以表达签约的意思，像 He's going to sign up with another team， 他将会跟另一支球队签约。好，第二个我们把 sign up 当及物用的时候，我们可以用 sign somebody up 或者是 sign up somebody 去表达替某人报名参加，让某人加入某个活动，或者是还可以表达签约雇用某人的意思。举例来说 The record label signed the band up last year， 唱片公司去年签下那个乐团。还有假设你觉得某个旅游行程啊，或者是手机自费方案等等听起来很棒，很想要加入，你也可以说That sounds awesome, sign me up。 好，我们再看到课文第二部分的对话里 Peter 向室友 Anne 展示他在烹饪课学到的东西。 Anne 就回答说，真的吗？ What a delightful surprise， 真是令人高兴的惊喜啊。好，那这边他用到的是感叹句。感叹句呢是用来表达可能热烈的喜悦啊、赞叹、惊讶、痛苦等等的情绪。我们首先要介绍是用 what 去开头的感叹句。当我们用 what 引导感叹句的时候，后面是要接名词。那如果是单数可数名词，你就可以用 what a 或是 an 加上形容词加上名词，后面还可以接子句。举例来说What an adorable baby she is， 她真是个可爱的婴儿啊。或是 What a mess， 真是乱七八糟。What a rude person， 真是个没有礼貌的人。 好，那如果我们要搭配复数可数名词，或者是搭配不可数名词，这时候句型就是 what 加上形容词，加上复数可数名词或不可数名词，那后面还可以接个子句。举例来说 What nice people they are， 他们人真好。 What beautiful music， 真是优美的音乐。好，那这边也顺便补充用 how 开头的感叹句，它的句型是 how加上形容词或副词，后面可以接子句。所以注意，刚刚我们说 what 后面是接名词，那这边 how 后面是接形容词或副词哦。好，那这时候 how 它就是当副词用，去强调它后方的那个形容词或副词，去表达真是怎么样，多么怎么样。举例来说 How terrible， 真糟糕。 How interesting this book is， 这本书真有趣。或者是 How gracefully she dances， 她跳舞跳得多么的优雅。好，那么以上是今天重点整理，我们回顾今天单字吧。
Inspire. Yolanda's interest in drawing inspired her to take an art class. Wreck. The player's huge mistake wrecked the football team's chances for a victory. Motivation. The case puzzled the police because there seemed to be no clear motivation for the crime. Financial. The company's financial problems led to a large number of workers losing their jobs. Chef. The restaurant's chef was trained at restaurants in France for several years. Delightful. The weather was so delightful that they had a picnic in the park.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.